Okay, if you're a leader, I'm willing to bet you've asked yourself this question. My team is working harder than ever, so why have we hit a wall? Why has our growth just stalled? Well, in this explainer, we are going to unlock the answer. And believe it or not, it starts in a 19th century laboratory, not a boardroom. Let's get into it.
So back in 1840, a brilliant German chemist named Justus von Liebig made this observation that would completely change agriculture. But here's the crazy part. This rule doesn't just apply to plants in a field. It perfectly explains why so many modern, well-funded sales organizations just can't seem to reach their true potential.
So who was this guy, and what exactly was his big riddle? Well, the story behind this quote reveals a universal law of systems. And honestly, it's the key to understanding your company's single biggest barrier to growth right now.
You see, Liebig was a pioneer in agricultural chemistry, and what he figured out was this. You could give a plant all the sunlight, water, and rich soil in the world, but its growth would always be capped by the one single nutrient it was missing the most, whether that was nitrogen, potassium, you name it.
And this became known as Liebig's law of the minimum. It gives us this absolutely critical concept of the limiting factor, the bottleneck. It's the one thing holding everything else back. So think about that. Growth isn't about the sum of all your strengths. It's defined by the impact of your single biggest constraint.
Okay, so how does a law from a 19th century farm have anything to do with a modern sales floor? Well, the connection is shockingly direct. Leaders today are facing a paradox that Liebig would have understood in a second.
I mean, think about it. Your people are working their tails off. You've invested in the best CRM, you've done the trainings, you've got the marketing automation humming, activity is through the roof, and yet the revenue needle just isn't moving to match all that effort. Sound familiar? This isn't a failure of hard work, it's a symptom of a hidden problem in the system itself.
That number right there, that represents what most B2B organizations are systemically just leaving on the table. We're talking 15 to 20% of their potential growth. And get this, it's not being lost to competitors. It's being lost internally, leaking right through invisible cracks in your own system.
And here is a major clue as to why. 72%. According to Salesforce, that's how much time the average seller spends on non-selling administrative tasks. They are absolutely busy, no question about it. But they're busy wrestling with internal complexity, not talking to customers. And that is just a massive productivity drain.
So what this all boils down to is a systemic problem we call a clarity deficit. See, when your strategy, your processes, and your team's roles are even a little bit unclear, all that hard work just gets diffused. Activity gets mistaken for progress, and the entire sales engine, it just loses its focus.
And this means that trying to fix individual symptoms, buying yet another tool or running another training seminar, it's just doomed to fail. You have to diagnose the entire system to find the real limiting factor. And we can do that by looking at the 5 core pillars of any healthy sales organization.
And this brings us right back to Liebig's law, doesn't it? Just throwing more resources at the problem without knowing the specific bottleneck. It's like giving a plant more sunlight when what it really needs is magnesium. The effort is wasted, and the plant still doesn't grow. It's that simple.
You see, any healthy sales organization needs these 5 fundamental nutrients to really thrive. Your limiting factor, that bottleneck that's holding back that 15 to 20% of growth, it's hiding in one of these 5 pillars. The big question is, which one is it?
Let's look at a concrete example from the strategy pillar. We see this all the time. Underperforming teams waste over half their time chasing small, low-value accounts. But the top performers, they have strategic clarity. They flip the model and ruthlessly prioritize their high-potential accounts, and the results, they are dramatic. This one shift in focus can be a massive lever for growth.
So, if your biggest bottleneck could be hiding in any of these 5 areas, how in the world do you find it? You can't just rely on gut feelings or what you think the problem is. You need the modern business equivalent of Liebig's soil analysis.
To really unlock that hidden growth, you need a data-driven diagnostic, a tool that can quantitatively score your entire sales system across all 5 pillars and pinpoint with laser precision your single biggest limiting factor.
Now, this kind of diagnostic creates something called a Sales Intelligence Quotient, or SIQ. A fantastic example is the Quandox SIQ. Just think of it like a credit score, but for your entire sales engine. The whole point is to give you a single objective number, say on a scale from 350 to 850, that measures your organization's health and tells you exactly which nutrient is the scarcest.
An SIQ score gives you immediate clarity.
It just cuts through all the subjective debates and opinions with a hard number. Are you in the struggling zone, the average zone, or are you excellent? This score becomes your baseline. It's your single source of truth for where you really stand today.
But look, a diagnosis is really only the beginning. Once the test tells you what the problem is, you need a targeted treatment. And that's where a system for turning that powerful insight into repeatable impact becomes absolutely critical.
Because, let's be honest, knowing your limiting factor is one thing, but actually fixing it, that's the real challenge. The true value comes from a structured, repeatable system that's designed to systematically attack that bottleneck and drive improvement you can actually measure.
And this brings us to a performance cycle, a simple but incredibly powerful three-stage loop. A perfect example is the Quandox performance cycle. First, you get clarity from the diagnostic. Next, you create focus by defining the highest impact projects to solve that one core problem. And finally, you drive impact through smart execution and measurement. It's a system for continuous, targeted improvement, not just a one-time fix.
This quote just sums up the whole philosophy perfectly. Having the diagnostic score, the clarity, it's not enough. You have to focus that clarity on the right actions, and then you have to execute flawlessly. This integrated cycle is what makes sure that insight actually translates into real results.
And so we end right back where we started. Your team is putting in the hours, no doubt about it. But the real key to unlocking that hidden growth isn't about working harder. It's about finding and fixing that one single limiting factor that's holding them back. So the only question left is, do you know what yours is?